Good evening, good evening. Happy Thursday, thankful Thursday, grateful Thursday. I'm super delighted and excited that you all are here to see another episode number 2 of the year 22. And I am just so glad and delighted that you are here. All right, I see everyone that's coming in. I need everybody to come on in. I need you to do this especially for me. I need you to text, tell, and tag, and make sure that you share this broadcast with everybody. Okay? So, again, text, tell, tag somebody about this broadcast tonight. And again, I am Nishonda Laramore. Your host is with the mostest, and we are here today with a very special guest all the way from Colorado. Yes, y'all know I like traveling across this great country. And today I am in Colorado. So thank you all again for watching. Again, everybody go ahead and share. And those that are watching, go ahead and drop some comments in our chat. Okay, go ahead and drop some comments. And again, make sure that you share. How is everyone doing? Let me tell you how excited I am because we have a weather day tomorrow, so I don't have to go to the school. So I'm extremely excited. And let me give my big news on Monday here in Jacksonville, Florida. I will be participating for Save 1,000 Lives and Transplant Talk will be participating in the Martin Luther King celebration parade here in Jacksonville. This is my first time being in the parade as a nonprofit, and I'm super excited. I am super excited. I know y'all might can't hear it in my voice, but I'm super excited about it. So if you all see me there, give a wave, give a shout, and we'll be going down the parade route in the car. I will not be walking, okay? Just so that you all know, I will not be walking. Hey, Dad. Hey, shout out for Mary Island, my dad, my grandmother, and my beautiful mother and grandmother. All right, Miss Altamisa James, Miss Gwendolyn Rollins, and my handsome father, Major Rollins in Mary Island. So, yes, Daddy, happy weather day because we sure do need it. Um, so if everybody is watching, you all know what I like to do, and I like to know where everybody is from. My dad is down there in Mary Island, and anybody else that's watching, go ahead and drop in the link. In the chat, where you from? Can I get a hello from all 50 states? That would be a dream. Can I get a hello from all 50 states? Okay, that would be awesome, awesome, awesome. Thanks, Dad. Thanks. It is. I'm super excited about it. Let me also give a huge shout out to the women of the Divine Nine. Happy Founders Day to the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta, to the ladies of Zeta Phi Beta, and also Alpha Kappa Alpha Incorporated. Their Founders Days all this week. So we are excited and definitely want to celebrate them as well. And hello, Jonathan, and thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing so much. Thank you. And, okay, so we coming from the Peach State. Always Georgia is always on my side. Those my team. That's my people. I love Georgia. I cannot live there because they do not have a beach. But I love Georgia. I love my people in Georgia. So hi TY, how you doing? Okay, so again, tonight's guest is coming from all the way from Colorado. I haven't visited there, but in the future, I hope to be able to. Um, I hope to be able to visit there. And yeah, oh, shout out to Georgia, right? Shout out to Georgia for winning the national championship, right? Yes, go dogs! I was happy that that Georgia Bulldogs won over the Roll Tide. So all you people that's Roll Tide and don't hate me, but I really was pulling for Georgia. Okay. So my guest tonight is again all the way from Colorado. She is on this journey, and she is on this journey to receive a kidney. I'm so happy that my that my network, that the transplant, I'm gonna say this again, that the transplant talk nation is expanding and growing. And I am loving everybody, whatever ethnicity, red, yellow, black, or white. You are welcome to come on my show and share your journey. I truly believe I am the force behind the voices of the transplant community. So again, if you all can help her, if you see it, actually, I put all the information there in the chat. So if you know anyone that is within that surrounding area, or abroad, to be able to help this young lady. She's such a beautiful spirit. We spoke for at great lengths on yesterday, so we had a great conversation. I was definitely excited to talk to her. So we're going to talk about some things today. I'm so glad she's here, but we're going to unpack and unfold a lot of things. So let me bring this young lady on. And you know what? I did not say her name, but I always know she goes by Jules Need a Kidney, and her name is Julia. And if you all have seen my video about the young lady's name that ends in A, we're gonna do a duet together. We're gonna do it together. I know she's shocked, but we're gonna do a duet together because her first name is Julia and it ends in A. And let's see if we can get that happening. Okay, let me bring Miss Julia on now. Hello, Julia.
Hi there.
How are you?
I am doing well. I am doing well. I'm going to apologize for being a little raspy. I had a COVID scare at the beginning of the week, but okay. So, but I'm very happy to be here. I'm so excited to be here after our talk last night and after having connected us.
Yeah.
And I also just want to say, I think it's really awesome that you're going to be marching in the MLK parade. And well, I'll be in Colorado. I will be there in spirit, marching right alongside you. Well, in the car.
In the car. We're not walking. No, we're not. I might have to do a Barack and Michelle Obama, like be in the car and then get out and walk maybe a block and then take it back in. So I think
if anybody could pull it off, I definitely think you could. So
okay.
go
I'm
for
gonna
it.
channel my inner Michelle Obama. I'm gonna channel my inner Michelle and see if I can. I don't have a Barack, but I'm gonna channel my inner Michelle. I don't know Barack. If you're out there, let me know. So I can see, see who he is. Right?
Taking applications.
No applications right now. We're gonna wait a little while. We're gonna wait a little while. No applications right now. Everyone's declined.
On pause. There we go.
Right, we're on pause. But Jules, can I call you Jules?
Absolutely.
All right. Can you tell everyone a little bit about your sweet self?
Well, let's see. Would you like to know a little bit about me in regards to how I got here, or just?
Well, not yet. I just want them to know just a little bit about who you are without the kidney journey right now. Just who are you? Because we talked about that yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess one thing about me that has nothing to do with the kidney route is that I am a horse person. I love horses. They have been in my blood. I'm the only person in my family that rides, honestly. Since I was 8, it's been a job for me. It's been a form of a mental health reprieve for me, which is wonderful. I'm also a big advocate for, taking care of your mental health as well. And let's see, what about me? I love horses, so I was usually spending most of my time out there as a horse trainer as well. Love live music, and we talked yesterday about our shared love for the beach and for the ocean and for had just the calming and happiness that it gives you. And I even took a trip out to California when I had a central venous catheter here, so I couldn't get wet, but just to go and be by over there. That's something that has always been very important to me. I grew up on the water. I'm originally from the East Coast and
Mhm.
made my way out here in a very roundabout way, but I made it out to Colorado. So, yeah, and out here and before COVID, I really love to go to live music. Now I listen to a lot of live streams, so
Okay.
which is a pretty great thing to do since we're all
Yeah,
inside. So,
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. So let's just talk, a little bit about um hmm, about this journey you're on
yeah,
because you are not only waiting and praying to receive a life-saving transplant, but you also have lupus as well.
yes,
You know,
indeed, I do.
so right. So when did this journey begin for you?
Well, this journey began for me a very long time ago, almost 2 decades ago in 2004,
Mhm,
when I was 14. And really what truly started off this whole event, was my best friend passed away,
mhm,
in that year. And,
mhm,
a couple months later, I was diagnosed with systemic lupus, which there are two forms of lupus, systemic and discoid. I got very lucky and I got the more severe version of it. And I also got quite lucky to sort of, I wouldn't say coast because I had my fair share of flare ups over the years. I hope you get on a horse too at some point. Um, but yeah, I had my fair share of flare ups throughout the years, but I did manage to live a relatively normal life as
mhm,
a teenager and adolescent, even into my early 20s. I was diagnosed with lupus nephritis, um,
mhm,
which means lupus of the kidney, quite literally, in 2017 when I was 27.
mhm,
Um, and I will be completely honest that when I was told that that was happening, it was here's a prescription for another pill. I
mm,
wasn't really explained aspects about kidney nutrition. I wasn't really explained how important diet and exercise was and how all of these things really come into play holistically in having your body thrive. A lot of people don't think about their kidneys and how important they are because you only need one,
right.
which is a big myth, and I know you're big on myth busting, so you really do,
Absolutely.
you only need
One kidney.
one kidney
Mhm,
there. So I was put on, again, put on an extra pill, and things didn't really get bad until after, well, May of 2020. I was hospitalized with a different problem called gastroparesis. So yet another chronic problem with my
wow.
stomach. But
Mm,
during that trip, I discovered I was in the hospital for almost 3 weeks and discovered that my kidneys were 50% destroyed. So it wasn't that I was in like, stage 5 and stage renal disease. It was you essentially have one kidney and that one kidney is on its last legs.
wow.
Um, I was put on chemo, not for cancer. I did not have cancer at any point, but I was on cytoxin treatments, which is still a form of chemotherapy. So I did do infusions. Sadly, I was supposed to do that for 6 months. After 5, we realized it didn't work. And I was sort of jump started onto dialysis. It all happened very quickly. I
Mm.
actually was out riding horses the weekend before. Um, got a call from my doctor at like the office opened at 9 o'clock. I was called at 9:02 and basically saying, your creatinine is high enough to kill someone.
Oh,
You're not
wow.
even alive.
Wow.
And honestly, that was the first time I've ever gotten a phone call like that. Since then, I've gotten maybe 2 or 3. So it's, like,
Wow.
quite alarming when you're like, "Wait, what do you mean
Yeah.
I should have been at the hospital 3 days ago?" So
Mm.
I sorry?
I said, no, wow.
Yeah,
I'm,
it,
I'm familiar with the creatinine. Those numbers we were always looking at in the hospital, hoping that they would not elevate.
yep,
Um,
always hoping they'll go down,
yeah,
and, I wanna say, and, please don't quote me on this
I
because
won't.
I was incredibly kidney confused during this time, but I wanna say that my creatinine was, like, above 7, like, closer to 8,
Eight? No,
which is
oh,
yeah,
wow.
like,
That's really high.
very, very, very bad. Yeah, so I ended up then going into the hospital and, you stay strong as well, Angelo, thank you, I appreciate
Yeah.
that very much.
Wow.
But yeah, and then I went on to dialysis, and, it was kind of an interesting experience for me when that happened because it was just a domino effect. It was really, really quick and really fast, and my
Okay.
nephrologist, Dr. Fish, who may be watching, and if you are, hi, Dr. Fish.
Hi, Dr.
He
Fish.
retired a little while ago, so he missed
Okay.
you. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, and, so I had my catheter placed within 2 hours, I was in a room, and the next morning I started dialysis, and,
Mm,
I didn't really even, I was not prepared for that. I was prepared for the thought that maybe it would happen, but I thought I was thinking more like February, March of 2021, we'd start talks of placing a permanent, like, a catheter, you
right.
know what I mean? Not like, "Okay, you need to go to the emergency room right now," or I didn't even go to the emergency room, go past the emergency room to admitting and do that,
Wow.
and so, I was there for 4 days of intensive, dialysis and then 1 day out, and I now was dialyzed at a DaVita clinic 3 times a week, and that was
Mhm,
where I went.
mhm,
Um, and that day, one of the dialysis nurses, and I actually don't know if I said this to you yesterday when we were speaking, she
mhm.
just came up to me and, it was a little bit of a bumpy start when I showed up to dialysis. One of the techs asked me who I was there to pick up, and I, kinda looked at her and I said, "I'm not here to pick up anyone, I'm the patient," and she was like,
Wow.
"Oh my goodness, I'm because I'm so young," and,
Right.
uh, so they put me in an isolation room, which if anybody from Red Hawk is watching, thanks, guys, I appreciate you for that,
Wow.
but yeah, and so I started dialyzing there, and one of the nurses who does peritoneal dialysis came up to me and she said, "You know, you're young, your best shot is, at transplant," and that was something that we had actually already talked about,
Mhm.
before any dialysis had been talked about, but I didn't have really anybody who I thought would be a donor, anyone who really, stepped forward, so I made a Facebook post and came out to the world and saying that I was sick, and, I created an Instagram page as well, um,
Yeah.
to find myself a donor, which has
Mhm.
literally turned into a really wonderful thing that's connected me to
Right.
this whole host of people online, and, it's yeah, so that's sort of that's the story of how I got to be where I am here
Right.
now.
Right. And you have a pretty good following on
I
social
do.
media. Like that is so awesome that you have such a support system. I guess one thing that I noticed that e- people on the outside will do. They will fully support you, even not knowing all everything about you, but just for them to just show you the kindness and love, like that's really awesome. That is absolutely awesome. So, so now how long have you been waiting to how long did it take you to get on the list to receive a transplant?
Wow, that is, that's a loaded question because I have a lot of answers for you on that.
Okay.
Getting onto the UNOS list, which is, the deceased donor, the National Registry of, deceased organs.
Mhm.
It is not the way that they portray it on television shows,
Right.
in, one episode, you're gonna get on. It took me 13 months to get onto the UNOS list.
Mhm.
From my initial evaluation and like hello with the transplant team, which happened to be during the height of COVID, so it was a telemed um,
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
appointment. Thank you.
Right. You're right.
Um, and then I had to go through a ton of different tests, many blood tests. Honestly, I couldn't even list all of them,
Mhm.
but a lot of them I had to do a stress test. I needed to get an EKG, an echocardiogram. Basically, they check over every single aspect of
Mhm.
your body to make sure that you are the best equipped to handle receiving an organ.
Mhm.
Because while it may seem like they're trying to beat you down, and I've been there and I know, and it's like, I'm so angry at
Mhm.
the transplant team because you will usually go and be presented to them a couple times at least. I've never
Mhm.
heard of anybody getting approved on the first shot.
Mhm.
Not to say it's impossible, so
Mhm.
don't stop reaching for the stars if that's what you're going for. But
Mhm.
go enter into it, I guess, with realistic expectations because
Right.
you will be told maybe before you're told either no or a yes. And you could be told a no at any
Okay.
point
Right.
for
That,
whatever reason.
right. And
Um,
we had some guests to say, I was off, they put me on, they put me
mhm,
back off, I'm back on.
yeah.
So did this time were you alerted to perhaps what you should eat, how much you should drink? So were you educated a little bit more, given more insight this time for you to feel a little bit better to know how to, be and stay on the list?
Oh, 100%, 100%. And so before I even got on the list and what you were talking about, how some people go on like a medical hold and they're still like
Mhm.
on the list.
Right.
I had never been like listed. So I actually was done with all of my testing in February of last year.
Mhm.
And I remember the last test I had to do was a dental exam, and I hate the dentist, so it was like a really big deal. He signed the letter of consent that I was okay. And I was like, oh my god, I'm done with my testing.
Yeah,
Holy moly, this is it, this is it. And then I got
right.
presented for the first time. And when I was presented for the first time, I was told maybe there were some things that I needed to work on.
Okay.
And
Can I stop you right there, Jules? Right.
yeah,
Because people don't understand how very important the major part the dentist plays. So can you
yeah,
briefly touch on that part as
yes.
why the dentist is important?
So the dentist is incredibly important, and a lot of people don't really think about it in terms of a transplant perspective. But honestly, if you have any type of a problem that's going on in your mouth, a tooth infection, for example, and you don't get that taken care of, that can spread. It can turn like there are many things that could happen. I'm just taking y'all down one route. That could turn septic, and sepsis is a blood infection that can be fatal. And you have to be very careful because anything with your mouth, again, can spread anywhere, and that can spread all throughout your body. So it's very, very important that even after you have that initial, okay, you're good to go.
Mhm.
I've
Mhm.
been going back every 6 months since then, excuse me.
Mhm.
So I still have a few more months before I have to go back for my checkup, but I will say I'm not really afraid of the dentist anymore because my dentist is wonderful.
Okay.
So that is one thing that is incredibly important. But
Yeah.
um, I actually was placed on a 6-month hold because I had a pulmonary embolism, actually two of them in that
Mhm.
January of 2021. Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
which very long story short, I was just having problems filling my lungs, and my nurse at Vita, Jessica, told me that she wanted me to go to the emergency room because I wasn't filling my lungs well. And well, I protested. I didn't want to go on a Friday night. And I did, and they found I had a pulmonary embolism. So I was hospitalized, put on a heparin bridge, and I was in there for a week. And luckily they caught it early. But my ER doctor, the hospitalist, said, you might want to call up your dialysis nurse and thank her because she might have just saved your life. And because of that event, it was a major cardiac event on par with stroke and heart attack, and then embolism, like a blood clot, also.
Mm-hmm.
So they automatically will hold you for 6 months. So
Mm-hmm.
after I finished everything, I had to wait for 6 months no matter what. And during that time, because I had the blood clot, they added on extra things.
Wow.
So it took me, like I said, 13 months to get it all done. And getting that phone call that I was on the list itself
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
was, I mean, I have not gotten the call yet for a kidney, so I cannot speak from actual experience of like,
Mm-hmm.
differences, but I was so happy, like
I,
ecstatic for like a week, like nothing
I,
could bring me down.
I know that feeling. When we
Oh,
got the call that my husband was, like he was like number one on the list. The
wow.
only the only problem was there wasn't a match.
Mhm.
So his height and weight that was our struggle because there weren't a lot of people that were 6'1", 300 pounds.
Right.
So that would, that complicates, things because which is why I keep fighting for more and more men to become, to get on the donor list because especially, athletes, football players, basketball players, baseball players because they are of stature and they can be, they can actually help someone to become, to give the gift of life if they would just consider it because um, two people would have had to give my husband their heart because of his size in order to, successfully have this transplant. But speaking of a heart, I just want to get your quick opinion on the newest surgery that happened, where the gentleman received the pig's heart. Are you familiar? How do you feel about that? What were your thoughts on that?
Honestly, my thought about it is I think it's amazing what modern
Um,
medicine and technology
yeah.
can do. Um, because actually, I think a couple weeks ago, maybe last week, and I feel bad because I missed it. It was the anniversary of the first ever kidney transplant that
Mm,
was done. And now
mhm.
we're talking about transplanting artificial organs, and
Yeah.
it's the organ talk of the future that we've
Right.
always been talking about. Of how cool would it be if we could do this?
Right.
Starting, and I just think it's great.
It's
So
here.
I'm all for scientific innovation and research, and
Yeah.
we really have to try and learn all we can,
Mhm.
because sadly, in a lot of cases with when somebody is finally at that point where they need an organ,
Mhm.
that's their last shot.
Right.
Like there's nothing else they can do. And for me, dialysis is a form of life support, but without it, without a new kidney, I'd die. You know what I mean? And
Right.
if you didn't have to worry about people who are somewhat, hesitant to donate, which one thing that I actually wanted to touch on with athletes and things like that,
Mhm.
a funny statistic is that, well, it's not funny, an interesting statistic is that living organ donors on average live longer than people who don't donate organs. And they
Mhm.
don't list the reason why, and I would probably imagine that it's because these people take immaculate care of themselves before they even consider donating a kidney, because the donor is checked over, even more so. But
Right.
I will just again reiterate, you only need one, and
Hmm.
you could be a professional athlete, you could be in the military, you could be a rock star,
Hmm.
um, and have a transplant. And it,
Yeah, I saw that. I actually saw it on your page where you showed about 9 celebrities, and I wanted to put it up. So I'm, patting myself
yeah,
because you actually had, that information of how many celebrities have benefited, even as Tina Turner was
yes,
a kidney recipient. And oh God, Natalie Cole was a
yep,
kidney recipient. So as you could, hear that these African Americans are, receiving these life-saving transplants. Even more recently, I don't know how many people watch Martin, but one of the favorite characters was Bruh Man from the fifth floor. He recently received a kidney transplant from his wife. So many people, so many rappers
yep.
are in dire straits for receiving a life-saving transplant. Well, if I could just get them to be on my show,
I know.
Alonzo Mourning. If you hear me, anybody sing this Alonzo Mourning, please, I need him to be on my show, and I need for Brummy in front of fifth floor to be on my show too, because it is happening in the world around us and in these communities. Yes, bro, Brumman from the fifth floor received a kidney from his wife. She was the donor, to give him. And have you heard of the 3D printed organs? I've heard. I've heard, but I am not the expert on that. But I have heard of it. I guess I need to maybe check up on it. But I just try to stay in my lane. I just try to stay in my lane. But I I have, someone has made, reference to the 3D print. And I noticed this is not the first time that they've actually used an organ from a pig. It has been used before. They just didn't live a very long time afterwards. So it's a trial and error. I guess if they're in agreement to do it, then by all means. I, I don't know. I don't know what to do until you're in that scenario or that situation. So that can be just a little bit. That's a little bit tricky. I think that's on a person to person basis to be able to make such a life changing, like it's already life changing getting it or receiving it from a deceased donor or a living donor. Now you're saying, here's a here's a pig, and then you can use that. That's a conversation piece to have, you know, with your family, as well. So speaking of family, can you tell us about your support group? I see your father, he's, always supporting you, and your mom. Can we talk about them for a little while? How
Sure.
do they help you?
Well, first of all, before I say anything, I do. I feel like I'm gonna cry, so
Oh,
I just want to give my dad and my mom as well. But sorry, mom, I'm gonna give dad the spotlight for a second through this, and really, I guess to both of you, because I honestly wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the two of you. Because one thing that I did not say as to really how this whole thing started, with when I was hospitalized in with gastroparesis. I don't remember doing this, but I was so sick. My kidneys were really just in dire straits. And I called my dad, I guess. Again, I don't remember doing this. And he said that he was so scared by the sound in my voice that during the height of COVID in May of 2020, I hopped on a plane from Connecticut. And
mhm.
he came out, and I remember I woke up and I was staring up at him, and I thought I was hallucinating that my dad was
Mhm.
there. And he said, "Nope, we have to go to the hospital. We're gonna, do
Oh,
this."
you were home?
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
that was really, that's one piece that I don't necessarily talk about too much, and I probably should because it really highlights even more in depth of how much my parents
Mhm.
helped me, but
Mhm.
since then, last 1 week, my dad stayed, he slept on my couch, when I went into the hospital for 3 weeks. I had a young puppy at the time who's now no longer a puppy. He took care of him, and every single day he was at the hospital at 7 a.m., staying from, 7 till he got kicked out at 9.
Okay.
Um, Now, 16 months later or so, I am living in a different location and now live in a house,
Mhm.
and, my parents have moved in with me,
Ah.
and, they really have taken on this role, which I have been so blessed to be able to receive as, caregivers to me. My
Mhm.
dad drives me to all of my dialysis because, if you do drive after dialysis, please don't.
No.
It's usually I've been capable of driving afterwards. He takes me to all of my appointments. He helps me stay on track with my medications and
Mhm.
really just is the biggest support that anybody could ever ask for. I am so blessed, and my mom as well. She is probably one of the most empathetic people I've ever met in my life. I think that's where I get it from,
Mhm.
honestly. Um, she herself knows what it's like to be a patient. And she has turned into a very wonderful caregiver. I do also have a sister who is not out here in Colorado. She is back in Philadelphia,
Mhm.
um, who has also been a part of, that immediate support system, which has been just really, really, really great. Um,
Mm. That's good.
but yeah, so and my mom and dad, one thing that's been interesting about this is that they'll post for me
They are.
online, which you can help anybody who's looking for a kidney, not
Mhm.
by donating, just by pressing a couple buttons and sharing their story, because
Yep.
you never know who will hear it and who might
Right.
want to help. Because, well, I have the most supportive and wonderful immediate family support system. Um, when it sort of delves out into the larger group, a lot of my support system dropped off during this period of time.
Mhm.
And that's one thing that I did really want to talk about because a lot
Yeah.
of people don't really. And it's something that I think should be talked about
Right.
for transplant recipients to understand that you are not alone if you feel this way. A lot of
Mhm.
people feel this way. Many people have messaged me in confidence. I'm not going to call anybody out on anything like that. Don't
Mhm.
worry, this is not the time. But, um,
Right.
who have said, when they got sick, they felt as though a lot of their friends and family and not necessarily immediate family, so I'm not talking about mom, dad, or Becca, my sister, but,
Mhm.
cousins, other family family members.
Mhm.
It's almost sort of like out of sight, out of mind,
Whew.
and this is not a problem that you can say out of sight, out of mind to.
Right.
Organ failure does not go away,
Right.
um, not for your kidney, not for your heart, not for anything, and,
Mhm.
um during that time, I think a lot of people expect that when you say that, "Hey, I'm going through this life-threatening thing. I need help. I need somebody to donate," first of all, which I didn't have a single familial relative who offered to donate. So,
Mhm.
as we were speaking before about not discrediting the kindness of strangers, don't
Mhm.
ever discredit the kindness of strangers because, the kindness in strangers is most like well, it's not most likely, is what will end up saving my life when I do get that life receive or life,
So
changing
definitely.
organ.
Yeah.
And I think that it was very difficult for me to come to terms with the fact that not only did nobody even really acknowledged it or
Mm,
acknowledged me
mhm,
being sick.
mhm.
I have, reached out. I've tried to connect, and this is a very, very lonely process.
Yes.
And it's a lonely process, not only just for the person who's going through it, but for their caregivers as well.
Yes.
And as you know, because
Mhm.
you were in that position, but it's yeah, it's very very
Yeah.
baffling because it's not the way that you would expect uh
Right.
for it to be. A lot of my family, I do have this big following on Instagram of really wonderful followers who,
Mhm.
again, who support me, who are wonderful and who really want to be educated. But I have my family members who'll be like, "Oh, you were in the hospital? Like, we had no idea." And it's like, "Yeah, I was there for a few days. Like, I almost died." You know what I mean? And
Yes.
so,
Yes. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I would hear my husband, reference certain friends or family, and they would be on, that side of town, and he would be so hurt. His
yeah,
feelings were hurt because he said, these people, um, I know we're family and they say they love me, but they won't even come here and, come here and see about me. Um, Control, not to feeling so bitter against it. Shine for you. Oh, what? Not to feel so bitter. Um, I,
I have an answer for that. If
okay.
and I don't want to cut you off
No,
though.
go ahead. Go
What
ahead.
you're saying, I do want to say that for anyone, it is your prerogative and it is your right to decide whether or not you want to donate a kidney. And I don't know no one, whether you're somebody's family, someone's significant other, it's never an obligation. And for that reason, I'm not bitter about it because it's a huge, huge, huge decision. I
Mhm,
can't necessarily make excuses for certain behaviors because
mhm,
it is I wouldn't necessarily say I'm bitter. I would say it makes me sad when,
mhm,
like you were talking about how Leonard, if people were on that side of town and they didn't come to say hello,
mhm,
that it hurts because it almost makes you feel like during that time, and I know this is going to sound a little dramatic, but it almost feels like you're already gone when people are already not really sort of including you in. And I really try. I don't try to have bitterness or animosity towards anyone,
mhm.
because I really do believe that what you put out is what
Yeah,
into the universe is
yeah,
what will come back to you. So even though, those family members that weren't necessarily there for me, some of them have stepped up a little bit more. Some of them I do know are lost causes, and that's okay
yeah,
because I have found so much solace in the online community of just the online organ transplant, community in
community.
general.
Yeah,
I'm a
big
big witness
support.
advocate also.
Yeah,
So I've been able to find family in strangers and in some
okay.
friends who have become uh,
Mhm,
family. And
yeah.
uh, actually, yes, Major, I have thought about it. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. Um, I think I need to have my transplant, and I have a few more life experiences that I have to add on into that notebook, but
Yeah.
one day it's coming. It
Yeah.
is.
Okay. You
It
heard it here
absolutely
first.
is.
It's the exclusive. The book is coming. You
Yep.
heard it here. You heard it here on Transplant Talk with Nashana. But I do believe, Horace, when you're asking, how do we not feel so bitter against those that shun him or shun us? It For me, it was him and I against the world. It didn't matter who else, did not show up. During that time, our family circle was small. So, I knew Leonard's brothers and sisters and mothers, like though I knew they constantly called, even though that they didn't live, in the city, I knew that they were like 2 hours away. And any given weekend, I knew they would be there. So I knew that, beyond a shadow of a doubt, anything, it was my husband and I against the world. Now, although you mentioned this for, you know, patience right now, and I won't hold you long because I think both our voices are going to give out soon.
Mhm.
Um, but I do believe it's the same thing for widows and widowers. You
Yes,
know, people
100%.
forget, when you have that funeral and you go home, that widower or widow home by themselves. They don't have that. You leave with your children, you leave with, your spouse, and they forget to call or
Right.
they forget to text. And
Yep.
it and I couldn't take it personal because I wasn't them. I couldn't take it personal. You could feel it a little bit like, well, what happened to everybody? Yeah, everybody gone. It Everybody gone. So I thank God for my immediate family because I can't control people. I can only control me, and that's it. But I can control me and my children. Okay. Even though they're grown and adults now, but that is all at the time that I can control. I can't control anybody else, their thoughts and feelings. But what I'm telling you, what not to do is when that person passed away, don't be going to that funeral and falling all out, making a big scene because you didn't make the big scene when they were here. Give people their roses while they are here and love on them. If you know that they're going through such, be a widow, be it a widower, be it a person that's going through, transplant. I call my friend Derek and I check on him every day. I aggravate
Yeah.
the God daylights out of him just to make sure, even though he's doing his dialysis, I, I aggravate him. So he knows that, I love him dearly and I would never stop doing that. But when I tell you I have some people in my life that have only been in my life for a short time, but since my husband passed away, they've never stopped being there for me. I have to celebrate that and I have to appreciate that because you cannot control people. So if you are experiencing that and you're going through this in life, I'm so sorry that you're going through it and that, maybe they're going through it, by themselves. That's a lot. But I keep my relationship with God first, and then I trust him, and then he'll do the rest. I honestly don't know where I would be without my immediate family. My parents are like your family.
Yeah.
They are always there. I cry, they come. you know so I'm blessed in that. I'm blessed in that aspect. um Thank you so much.
Oh,
Thank you so much for being on the show and opening this box because a lot of people won't talk about, that feeling of I don't my family is not around. Like our family during this time, your family should be extremely close. But they kind of treat it like it's the plague or it's gonna jump on them. And that is not true at all. People like Jules and the other people in that community, they just want somebody to love on them and love them. So if you can do that and somebody, maybe I'm speaking for you. I can speak for my husband because that's all he wanted, you know. So that's my word. If you have any last words, what would you if you are waiting, what words would you tell someone that is on the fence about becoming an organ donor?
well, if you are on the fence about becoming an organ donor, um, I can tell you right now, and again, I feel like I'm gonna cry. Um, really, really think about it because, you know, you can change so many people's lives by doing this and by by having this, selfless act here. And they talk about how it really is priceless, the gift of life, because this is something that money cannot. It's like those old MasterCard commercials, priceless. Money, like, literally cannot buy this. And when I speak to, I've interviewed many people who have been living organ donors, and they will say it is the most fulfilling thing that they have ever done in their life, whether they knew the person that they donated to, or some people I know have just decided to just do it in general, because I guarantee you that no matter what, that organ will not go to waste.
Right.
And there is someone out there who needs it and who you may not even be thinking of. And I don't think that anybody would ever harvest anything from me because I have many diseases. But even on my driver's license, like, if I were to get, God forbid, into an accident or something, take my skin, take my teeth, take my eyes, take
Take it all.
everything. And
Mhm.
I firmly believe that. And to, give that gift of life to as many people as possible. And if you're on the fence, I, I would say don't be.
Mhm.
Get all of, all your ducks in a row, continue to do your research. If you are really worried about it, on my website, I talk about a whole bunch of problems that could arise, anything to sort of educate yourself about it, and even
Mhm.
talk to other people. So, in a long-winded way,
Yeah,
don't be on the fence about it. I would say
absolutely.
just do it. I
Absolutely.
would if I could.
Absolutely. And there you go. And thank you again, Jules. And my father said the horses will help transport the story. So many young girls love horses, and your story will be so inspiring. So thanks, Dad.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you for that
yeah.
very
Right.
kind message.
Yeah, and there was a she didn't share on the show, but her love of horses runs deep, and during a certain time, she couldn't be around them.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, so that is something that we want to get her, the donor. We want the donor to come forward so that she can get back to the love of horses and riding on the horses. And yes, Dad, I've been on a horse before. My thighs just never thought to burn so much. I just did not understand how much.
I'm gonna get you on one at some point when I'm in Florida down there. It's
Okay,
going to happen. But before I sign off, there's one thing that I did forget to say
please
that I
do.
do just want to touch on, because I said that no familiar that I didn't have anybody who came forward. And
Mhm,
actually that is not completely true. I
mhm,
had a distant cousin who I hadn't seen in over 2 decades on my mom's side, actually, who is, she had just finished her nephrology rotation out in Oregon. She's,
mhm,
studying to become a doctor, and she was gonna be my donor, and unfortunately, she was knocked out, because she found out, something that would prevent her from doing it, which again, I'm not
mhm.
gonna disclose on to the world.
Right,
But,
right.
I do just wanna say thank you, Zena. I
Aw.
very much appreciate you, and, I apologize for not listing you off in there, and it was wonderful to see you when you came into town. So, while
Wow.
it didn't work for us to be a match, I did get reconnected with a family member who I hadn't talked to in a very long time, and again, met so many
Um,
wonderful people along the way. So thank you so much for having me here,
I
and
appreciate you.
this was, wonderful, and I'm just, yeah, I'm just so blessed to be a part of this community. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Thank you so much. I do appreciate you. And Philip, thank you for sharing, sir. And in
Yeah.
February, I'm gonna need you to be on my show, Philip. Thank you very much. So I just wanted everybody to see you, to hear your story. I believe, everyone that is on the road to transplant, every destination arrival, the arrival is different for everybody, and the road to get there, everybody has a different road, but hopefully the outcome of receiving it is the same, for everybody. So I do not only believe that organ donation saves lives, but organ donation changes lives. And just know that it cannot, uh, that organ cannot go with you if when you pass away. It cannot go with you when you pass away. So, guys, again, I'm so looking forward to the long weekend that we have, and being in the parade on Monday for here in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm super excited, and if you, oh, hello, Jared, how are you? All right, Jeff and Jared, right?
Hi
Love those
guys.
brothers. Love those brothers. I mean, all right, that's what I'm talking about. Production team just got put on hold, so I had time. Okay, Philip, we're going to do that. And Angelo, thanks for the video. Next time, please talk about the insurance costs. Oh yes, oh yes. Thanks, Dad. Yes. So yes, next time we will, Angelo, we will talk about that, because different insurance companies are oh, he's in Canada. Okay. I'd love to hear more. So, Angela, you want to hear more about the U.S. costs or Canada? Because I thought Canada was something different. I thought everybody got free health care. Is maybe that's different. I don't know. Angelo, inbox me. Let's see what you're talking about, and then maybe I haven't had anybody from Canada yet. So, do you know Angelo Jules? Do you know him?
You
U.S.
know,
costs. Okay.
oh, US costs. So as far as US costs, I actually do know that.
Wow.
So for US costs for anybody who wants to become an organ donor, a live donor, for example, so if you want to become a live donor, you're testing all of your medical testing, which would be done through my transplant center. So it would be a Presbyterian St. Luke's here in Denver.
Mhm.
You would fly to Denver, then you would have 2 days of pretty intense testing. But it starts out with you getting a blood sample, but all of that is covered by my medical insurance.
Oh.
Even your transplant surgery, all of your medical fees, all of the testing, all of your pre surgical bills, every medical bill from this is covered. The only thing that is not covered are your travel expenses. However, I do believe, and that's more of a question for my mom and dad, who are my donor champions, but I do believe that you can pay for travel arrangements, but you cannot pay somebody to
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 be a
to
donor. Yeah.
become an organ donor, because that's where it gets into its organ trafficking. But
Right.
the donor does not pay if you have your travel costs paid for by your donor, or your recipient, which of course I would do.
Okay.
It's of no cost to you. Everything is covered.
Okay.
Well, I will still have to pay my insurance company at the end of the day.
Mhm.
Um, they then cover the rest. Uh,
Right.
so that is how it works in the US. I
Okay.
would not ever recommend going about trying to have a transplant without insurance unless you have $50 billion.
Right.
It's quite expensive.
It does, because I know a heart and a kidney transplant was upwards to over $1 million,
Oh,
or
absolutely.
a
My
million and a half.
medical costs alone last year, if I were paying out of pocket without insurance, would have been $1.7 million. And I did not have a transplant last year. So
Wow.
Um, yes. So insurance, like, for transplant, for donors will cover everything for you, and not your insurance, my
Yeah.
insurance.
Well, real quick, give your blood type and the information again.
All right. So my blood type is B positive, just like the television show.
Television show, which I love. I love the show, but go
Yep.
ahead.
And however, there is paired donation at my transplant center, which means if I have a viable donor who is not my blood type, and there is somebody in Kansas who has a viable donor who is my blood type and who's a match, they sort of do a round robin and swap.
Mhm.
And so you can still, have that life-saving transplant, but you sort of you trade almost.
Right.
So what I'm getting at there is that all blood types are encouraged to apply, because
Mhm.
if you're a viable donor and you want to do it, regardless, you could do it through paired donation.
Yeah. So it's a
And
fair
that's
exchange, right? It's called
yes.
a fair exchange. Okay.
And it's, a whole bunch of participating transplant centers and hospitals throughout the country that participate in this exchange.
Mhm.
Um, because one thing that I know you asked, and I don't believe I answered, if I were to wait for a deceased donor in the Denver metro area, it is 5 to 7 years. So
Mm.
now I'm looking at 4 to 6. I'm
Yeah.
31. And I do want to get married. I do want to have kids. I want to have a family. I'm hoping to start a nonprofit,
Yeah,
and
come
all of
on.
these things. So, yeah, organ
Mhm.
donation really can change it. If you're looking to list for me, or really for anyone, head to Julesneedsakidney.com, where you can find a link to my survey at Presbyterian St. Luke's. You can find links to surveys to registerme.org, which is
Mhm.
just literally to become an organ donor.
Mhm.
And and yeah, or you can honestly just call up Presbyterian St. Luke's in Denver, Colorado, and say, "Hello there. I'd like to start the process to become listed as an organ donor for Julia Aronson, or for anyone who needs a kidney."
Mhm.
It's really beautiful. And thank you, Tony. I
Mhm.
will keep the
Yes.
faith, and I'm just trying to tell you to trust in the process. And
Mhm.
you never know when or where your donor will come from and the connections that you'll make. And so I'm really trying my best to keep the faith and let,
Mhm.
God's plan sort of just fall into place for me.
Right.
And, I have faith that this is all going to work out, and
Mhm.
we are, stronger together. So
Amen. Amen. Well, we are going to keep the faith and we're going to go rest our voices. I'm going to have some hot tea.
I think I'm going to join you on that one.
Yes, yes, we're
There.
going to do that. And guys, everybody, thank you all for watching again. Make sure that you text, tell, and share this broadcast. Don't forget to go and register to become an organ donor. We have so many things that are coming up. I have a lot of things planned for February, March, and April. So you're going to see a lot more of me. I might even go live from the parade route. So
You should
I
do it.
should. So I might do that so everybody can see. Just it's supposed to be a little cold, not Colorado cold, but a little cold. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to layer up because it's gonna be a little cold. So we're supposed to get in the 30s and the highs are only in the 50s. I know we're chickens down here in Florida, but
That
that's
is
a little
Florida
cold.
cold.
That is Florida code. So, to everybody, God bless you all. Tune in again next week for another great show. Of course, my guest, he's already ready. And so everybody's ready to be on this show. I'm super excited for the year 2022. God bless you all. Again, make sure that you all please go and register to become an organ donor. If you know anyone that is willing to, become her person, make sure that you all look in the description of the broadcast and click on that information. So, guys, until next Thursday, have a great MLK weekend. And God bless you all and good night. And stay right there, Jules.